This week's Retail Week is brought to you by Avail, Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer. Never stop pushing. Hello again, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf here with Eric Sfiligoj. Closing in on Christmas.
Yeah.
Emails are winding down, calls are winding down. People are getting hard to get a hold of.
Our energy levels
winding down. We're old. It's one of those. Just stuff happens. But you know what's really good? You know, right before, like the few days before, you call the higher ups at some of the companies, and usually they're in because they're figuring like no one is going to call. So sometimes they pick up the phone and are like, "Hello," like, "Wow, I got this guy. It's pretty awesome."
You're totally ruining their vacation.
So
nice going.
So
nice
don't
going.
pick up the phone if you see a 440 area code and you don't want to talk to us. That's what you might call. So yes, we wind down Christmas, and we had a great ARA conference. I know that you had recorded some things from Steve Watts, who's a terrific advocate for us, and he had some interesting things to say about prepping for the future, I think.
Correct. Yeah, Steve was part of the panel where the gentleman for FBN, whose video we had last week in our video clip, talking. He took part in that, and here's a little video clip of him basically talking about the three things that ag retailers should be considering as they move forward through the next couple of years to combat against companies like FBN and keep their market share.
It really is to the majority of our customers. And then we need to start more effectively promoting what we're going to keep while paring down or eliminating that which is unnecessary, so that we can better support that which does matter to a majority of customers and potential customers. We need to move from simply, number two, we need to move from simply offering what we do to becoming best in class at providing it. I mentioned earlier, this is what will separate the best from the rest in the days ahead. Average or worse service offered at best in class prices is the poker equivalent of playing a dead hand. Conversely, offering best in class service at discounted prices is the equivalent. I should mention here that well-seasoned and well-led, meaning inspired employees, are the critical element in providing elements in delivering best-in-class service. Uninspired leadership and excessive employee turnover are the Achilles heels of doing so. It's precisely what's going wrong with many of the more traditional retailers in America today, and that's the reason they're getting killed by Amazon. And it will almost ensure we can never gain the necessary traction to become the undisputed best in class. That's what our goal is to do. Third and finally, we need to start charging separately and appropriately for more of the best in class service added value we're providing, so we can minimize product price disparities between ours and others' business models, and so we can access more customer buying segments. This requires modernizing pricing systems and serious operational discipline, but it is doable, and it has been done.
So that's what Steve had to say in his recommendations. Paul, we'll have to see how many ag retailers actually will heed that advice.
It's interesting. Well, it isn't divergent from what we've been saying for many years. It's really trying to specialize, trying to zero in on ROI, zero in on the services that are most important, and possibly pushing aside that which is not profitable. But you know, it can be difficult in a cyclical business when you're busy. A lot of the time, and a lot of your busyness is concentrated around certain areas to really take yourself away and think about how you can manage those things better. But you know, it is going to be a necessity as we get more price transparency, and that's not going to go away. There are other factors that are eroding our business. So you know, we need to do a lot of hard work on that and figure out how we're going to manage business in the future.
Okay, we'll be right back after a quick break.
We want our farmers to be successful, and if they're spending money to put on phosphate in particular, we like to put Avail with it so that a lot more of that gets into the plant. We know that a majority of it gets tied up in the soil before a plant has a chance to work with it. So we like to put Avail to increase that availability to the crop.
Welcome back. Of course, we couldn't possibly end a retail week without mentioning our favorite topic, Dicamba. There's always something new, Eric. I know there's a couple couple more challenges out there. I
Well,
think.
developments,
Yeah,
actually. Yes, I know, Paul, recently this week I was speaking at a Southern States event, and I know they did have a whole track devoted to dicamba issues during 17 and recommendations for 2018. But two of the states that have made a lot of news with dicamba are Arkansas and Minnesota. And Paul, they were, as you remember, 1 and 2 in terms of complaints filed by growers regarding off-target drift during 2017. As you know, Arkansas had been proposing a very early ban on the use of dicamba for 2018. Sometime in April 15th, I believe, was the date they wanted to cut off application. Monsanto had sued the state, basically saying, no, you can't do that. And we found out this week that the subcommittee looking at this issue has kicked it back to the plant board in Arkansas, basically saying, why don't you look at this again? We don't really like this recommendation, so let's have a new one. So, we're back to square one in Arkansas, but in Minnesota, the plant board has proposed a ban, no dicamba application after June 20th. So I guess one sort of win and another perhaps setback for dicamba's efforts in 2018.
Yeah, I'm sure time marches on. Winter's going to march on, and probably won't be the last. Certainly won't be the last we hear about any of these things from other states or from within those states. So, just a couple of other things to mention. Next week, I'm going to be doing some Washington D.C. Association visits. I get to chat with our friend, Crop Life America. Jay Vroom from Crop Life America. I'm going to talk with him a little bit as he's preparing to retire after 4 decades of serving this industry. Should be an interesting discussion, and we'll be covering some of the things that he's, some of the history and looking forward, both now and later on this year. We'll revisit and talk to him as he gets closer to that retirement date at the end of 18. And then we had some really good talks in preparation for the Precision Ag Accelerator event that we're planning for the end of June. Really targeting Precision Ag, the managers of Precision Ag programs, the retail side, and consultants who are trying to find ways to improve the profitability of the business and the efficiency, operations, sales. A lot of those nuts and bolts of business issues that the folks like the Precision Ag coordinators, Precision Ag managers are dealing with, and we're looking at a 2.5-day meeting in Brookings, South Dakota, not North Dakota, South Dakota. I know where it's going to be. And again, it's June 26th to 28th are the tentative dates, and we're looking to lock some things up. We've got the university, South Dakota State University professors are really on board, and as well as a number of other educators that we're going to be pulling in for the day, for the 2.5-day event. So we're look for more details as we move forward, but that's some exciting things happening in 18.
Thinking about summer and Christmas. Okay.
You betcha. Always thinking ahead. Well, that's it for this edition of Crop Life Retail Week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Thank you to this week's video sponsor, Avail Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer from Verdesian Life Sciences.